Good morning, class. Good morning, class. Um, Before we start our today's topic, I want to take you back to what we have discussed before mid-semester. So we looked at objectives of community development, whereby one of the objectives was awareness, and another one was to solve community problems. Another objective is to provide equality in our communities. We also want to change people's mindset as far as community development is concerned. Another objective is that we want to bring in all-sided development. When talking of all-sided development, we're looking at development on political, social, economic, all aspects of development. We want to tackle those parts. We also want to bring in or to promote good governance in our communities. So these are some of the objectives of community development. We also discussed the needs of community development. After discussing the needs, we looked at methodologies or methods of community development. I said that you can't just come up with these methods. You need to select a goal. When you're done with selecting a goal, you need to do it. How are you going to achieve your goal? You achieve these goals using a certain method or certain methodologies. What are these methods? We have community economic development. CED is one of the methods that you can use to develop a community. Another method that we can use is community capacity building. When talking of community capacity building, we are looking at policy reforms. Another methodology is community participation or participatory development. So you can develop communities using participatory development. It's just a recap. We also discussed about asset-based community development, ABC, whereby you mobilize community resources, the assets that these people have that they can use to develop their communities. Remember, I told you that when talking of assets, we are not only looking at resources that we are able to see. Knowledge, skills are also resources that you can use to develop our communities. We also discussed about community-based participatory research, CBPR, whereby we need to involve community members wherever we are doing a research. This research should aim at developing our communities. From there, we discussed about deprivation trap, which is a condition whereby people are enclosed in a cycle of poverty and they're failing to get out of it. We discussed the causes of this deprivation trap. What are these causes? Education can be a cause of deprivation trap. We also discussed of social networks. If you're lacking these social networks, you can be trapped in poverty. We also discussed of poverty itself. Poverty can be a cause of deprivation trap. There are a lot of causes. Geographical isolation of our societies can put us into this kind of trap. We also discussed about good governance. These are socio-economical aspects of development. What is it that we need to look into when we're trying to develop our communities? We don't have to exclude social and economic aspects. On social, there are a lot of things that we discussed concerning social development, including governance. Under economic, we discussed about economic development as well as economic growth. So these are the socio-economic development. Today's class, we're going to discuss about several things. We need to understand the meaning of community. We also need to understand the term development. We should also discuss characteristics of community development. So when you're doing community development, you don't just enter into a community anyhow and start working with people. You need to choose levels of which you'll be working with that particular people in that particular community. So community developers, or I can say social workers, they work with communities at different levels. Are we together? Community developers, or I can say social workers, they work with communities at a different level. We have 3 levels whereby community workers work with communities. The first level is micro level, MICRO, micro level. The second level is meso level, MEZZO, meso level. And the last level is macro, MA. So community workers, they work with communities using these levels: micro, macro, and meso level. So let's look at each level. What is macro level? On terms of micro level, MICRO, micro level, communities work with individuals and families. So when you're going into a community, or let's say, for example, you have a project that is targeting a certain community, and that project is targeting only certain individuals or families. These individuals can be the physically challenged individuals, or you can choose to work with families. Or maybe let's say, for example, you're working with families that are raising children who are abusing alcohol. That means you have targeted families with a specific condition. So that's working in communities, but at a micro level. MICRO, micro level. So you work with communities, but then you target a certain individual or a certain family. While when you're working with communities at a meso level, under this, your much focus is on neighborhood, small groups, and institutions. So you go into a community, but your main target are institutions. Okay, this project is going to target universities. This project is going to target VDCs. This is a group that is found in a community. So you target that particular group. Then you're working in communities, but at a meso level. Meso level, your much focus is on neighborhood, small groups, as well as institutions. While at macro level, MACRO, you work with the community as a whole. So you can come up with a project that is targeting the whole community. That means we're working with communities at a macro level. Are we together? Are we together? On micro with, okay, the first one, I'm saying that you as community developers, you as community workers, you need to choose a level where you'll be working with various communities, right? So these levels, we have 3 levels. We have micro level, macro level, and meso level. So at micro level, so we have micro level, which is MICRO. It's just unfortunate that I can't bring a PPT. At micro level, you work with individuals and families. Okay, so you can come up with a project that is targeting only families. Mwina families amena kusungana oti they are addicts. Maybe you choose to work with those particular families, or you can choose to work with a certain individual, or maybe a certain group of individuals. The project may not just targeting those particular individuals, right? Then you're working with at a community, commando, you have targeted micro level because you have targeted individuals and families. You can choose to target both individuals and families. Some projects only target families. Mwina munavako in our communities kuti project iyi tikufuna ma families oti mwina kulima mpunga. Okay? That means you're working with a community but at a macro level. While at meso level, your much focus is on small groups and institutions. When you go into a community, you're going to find out that that particular community have got institutions. My institutions, we think of churches, these are institutions. Schools, universities, these are institutions. So some projects only focus on these institutions. Or there are other projects that focus on small groups. We have groups in our communities. I mentioned of VDCs, Village Development Committee. This one is a group of people. Tidima group like the youth club. This is a group. So some projects can only focus on these small groups. It means you're working with communities, but at a meso level. Your much focus is on small groups as well as institutions. While at macro level, MACRO, you're working with the community as a whole. You come up with a project that is targeting the whole community. This time around, someone has to choose, I'll be working with groups, or I'll be working with families, or a certain individual, or maybe you'll be working with an institution. You are targeting the whole community. That's working with communities at a macro level. Are we together now? Yes. Neighborhood. Yeah, you can choose to work with area 15. That's neighborhood, yeah, area 15. Yeah. Another question? All right. So let's understand the term community. Community. What is a community? Yes. Okay, a group of people living together, that's a community. So we can come up with a lot of definitions, but Bella, we have Medicine, and Tipton. They defined community development as a group of people who are socially interdependent, who participate together in discussions and decision making, who share certain practices that both define them. But then these practices, they are nurtured by it. So when talking of a community, people that are living in a community, they should socially be interdependent. They should be able to depend on each other. When you're talking of a community, people in that particular community, they should participate maybe in a lot of things together. For example, when they're trying to make a decision, they need to participate. Maybe they have a certain discussion. They should participate together. And then they should have a certain practice that will define them. They're living together, they're socially interdependent, and then they have a certain practice that defines them. Then we can say that one is a community. What kind of practices that can define a community? Think of a community that is surrounded by chaos. They have a certain practice that would define them. Gule wankulu, okay? So when I think of a community, they should have something that will define them, something that is common. Mukava, iwali makhala kuti makhala kuntandira, waonekatu. Wafusa bwanje, kuvuta, okay? There's something that defines somebody because that particular person is coming from a certain community. That's a community. While Mosi in 2024 defined community as people who live within a geographically defined area, who have social and psychological ties with each other and with the place where they live. So you can see that this definition is not far from the first definition. They should have something that ties them together. For example, the place that they live. It is the place that they are living that is bonding them. So that's a community. So we can define a community in different ways, much as they have something in common. Remember, we are all coming from communities. So we are defined by the community we are coming from. If you say, I come from area 47, people will be defining me as someone who is rich. If you're saying I'm coming from Jess, people think that you're doing a certain business in town. So you are defined by the community you're coming from. There's something that ties you. There's something that bonds you with people that are living in that particular community. You need to have a common interest. That will take us to components or elements of a community. What makes up a community? What are some of the elements or components of a community? Yeah, group of people. Another element, yes, my dear. Element of a community or components of a community. She mentioned of group of people, which is true, because we can't have a community if we don't have people. So a community is supposed to have a certain group of people. What other element of a community? Yes, my friend in rocks. Elements of a community, group of people is one of the elements or component of a community. Adeshu. Yes. Or infrastructure. Yeah, infrastructures. Nia. Eh? What are the components of a community? Yes. Natural resources. All right. So we have a lot of components of a community. These are things that makes up a community. So community muzipeza. So one of the elements is a group of people. These groups may be small or big, but community always refers to a group of people. Because without a group of people, we can't think of a community. So when people are living together, they share common life, they share sense of a community. So we can say that group of people is the element of a community. Another element is locality. So a group of people alone can't form a community. A group of people forms a community only when they reside in a defined territory. So a community is supposed to have a specific location. That's locality. There should also be segments. Community segments, this refers to a strong sense of a we feeling among members. So these segments of community, they are created by members of that particular area. Even when you go to area 15, you're going to find out that there are segments in area 15. So whenever you go into a community, you should be able to see these segments. These are also elements of a community. A community is supposed to have a particular name. That's why we have names. We have Untande, we have Nches, we have Biwi, just because it is a community. And it's a must that a community should have a name. A community is supposed to be permanent. There is no community that is temporary. So it should be there for ages and ages. And communities should have spontaneous origin and growth. You should be able to tell a history about a certain community. There should be an origin of a certain community and how it grows. So these are some of the elements of a community. Yes, segments. These are sections that exist in our communities. Yes, yeah. There is culture. Culture also is an element of a community. Culture and norms, I think they go together. Mm. Um, let's understand the term development, because we have defined what a community is. We have looked at elements of a community, but then what is development? 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 Okay, the process of improving the well-being of people. All right, so I have a definition by Todaro, that was in 1981. He refers to development as a multidimensional process involving reorganization and reorientation of the entire economic as well as social system. So in terms of development, it's a process. It's a process. It involves reorganization as well as reorientation of the entire economic as well as social system. We can also say that development is a process of improving the quality of all human lives with three equally important aspects. So we are looking at development, whereby it is a way of improving our communities. But how? How are we going to improve our communities? We can choose to reorganize our communities. We can even choose to reorient the entire system that we have in our communities. These systems include social systems, economic systems, as well as political systems. So we can say that development looks at all aspects that we have in our communities, reorganization of things, reorientation of the entire system that our communities have. Or we can say that development is a process of improving the quality of human lives. But how? How are we going to improve the quality of human lives? So there are three important aspects that we need to consider when we're trying to improve the quality of human lives. The first thing is raising people's living levels. Raising people's living levels. How are you going to raise their living levels? You can choose to target income and consumption, level food, medical services. You can choose to target school or education, the education system of a certain particular community. So these are ways of raising people's lives level. Another aspect that you need to consider is creating conditions that are conducive to the growth of people's self-esteem. So you need to boost people's self-esteem. How? How are you going to boost their self-esteem? You need to establish social, political, as well as economic systems that promote human dignity and respect. So if you boost the systems that they have, the social systems, economic systems, political systems, these systems and institutions should aim at promoting the dignity and respect of human beings. These conditions are going to create a conducive environment for you to raise people's self-esteem. You also need to increase people's freedom. Increase people's freedom. They should have a variety of choices. For example, they should have a variety of goods and services. So, in terms of development, you can say that it's a process. If you're trying to reorganize something, it takes time. If we're trying to orient the system that is there in the community, it even takes time. But our main aim in development is that we want to improve the quality. We want to improve the quality of all human lives. But how are we going to improve their human lives, the quality of their lives? By raising people's living level. Bring in education systems in the community. Bring in medical services. Bring in food so that people can eat. You also need to create a conducive environment so that people should be able to grow their self-esteem. And you need to increase people's freedom so that they should choose, they should have a variety of things to choose. So we can say that development is both a process as well as an outcome. Development is both a process as well as an outcome. But before we proceed, do you have questions on the definition of development? Do you have questions on development? So when talking of development, there are two important terms: reorganization and reorientation of the entire system of the community. That's development. And then you can play around with these two terms: reorientation and reorganization of the entire system of the community. The main reason for this is to improve human lives. Okay, so can you come up with 3 groups? Yeah, you should be 9. So we need to have 3 members per group. Okay, so your group is going to be group number 1. Group number 1. Remember, I discussed that community workers, they work in communities, but then they choose levels where they work with communities. Can you discuss these levels? Levels of community development. And your group, discuss the characteristics of community development. And your group, I said that, Nia, can you join your friends? Community development is a process. Is a process. So discuss why we're saying that community development is a process. What are these processes? Group yose ndi question yake. Characteristics of community development. Okay. Okay, so you have 10 minutes to finalize your discussions. Ephraim. Mafuno vite mstari mmoja. Then wakawa tunaona hapo. cabin ukagolowa kuno kwa this side kuchokera kumapeto kwambiri namba 2 pane kwakondokhala kwina ungamba moja nasiya mu envelope ya mapasti kwekani some of you didn't get your papers mafandi kokupasana. Yeah, haukatenga frame. Six minutes. think we are all done with our discussions, right? So we need to start with group number 1, whereby I said that social workers as well as community workers, when they're working with communities, they work with communities at various levels. So I asked them to explain these levels whereby community workers work with. Group number 1. Come on, get one.
I'm going to present on levels of community development. Community development is a multifaceted process that operates at various levels, each requiring distinct strategies and approaches. The micro, meso, and macro levels of community development provide a comprehensive framework for understanding and addressing the complex needs of community. The first level is micro level. That's empowering individuals and small groups. Micro level focuses on individual and small group development, aiming to enhance personal skills, knowledge, and social connections. Community development at this level empowers individuals and families, fostering social support networks and promoting self-sufficiency. Strategies employed include counseling, mentoring, small group training, and community-based initiatives. For example, youth mentorship programs and parenting classes exemplify micro-level interventions. The second level is meso-level. That's strengthening organizations and community groups. The meso level targets on organizational and community group development, seeking to strengthen community organizations, build partnership, and enhance community resources. This level addresses the intermediate structures that connect individuals to broader community systems. Strategies include organizational development, community planning, needs assessment, and partnership building. Examples of meso-level initiatives include community-centered development and coalition building for social change. The last level is micro-level. That's policy and systematic change. The macro level focuses on policy and systematic change, aiming to influence legislation, address systematic inequalities, promote community-wide social change. This level requires community organization, mobilization, policy analysis, and advocacy. Macro-level initiatives such as advocating for affordable housing policies on organization, community protests for social justice demonstrate the power of collective action. That's all.
Right. So those are the levels that community workers as well as social workers work with in our various communities. Do you have questions? Group number 2. Yes. Characteristics of community development.
Good morning, guys. I'm Joanna Story and I'm representing group number 2. On our group, we were asked to discuss the characteristics of community development, of which one is participation. So, on participation, people in the community come together to share ideas and work projects. Everyone has a chance to be involved and help make decisions. So on this one, it means every community member is allowed and has that privilege to be to be where people are discussing maybe issues to do with developing that community. The second one is collaboration. Collaboration, different groups like local organizations, schools, and businesses work together. This teamwork helps to use resources better and achieve common goals. So, where two or more people are together and then they're discussing a certain issue, it means each and everyone has their own ideas. So, by coming together and working as a team, helps them to achieve their goals faster. The third one is empowerment. Community development helps people gain skills and confidence. When individuals feel strong and capable, they can make positive changes in their community. So I'll go back to collaboration just to clarify. If people have collaborated and they're working together as a team, they're in different skills. Thereby, those skills will help them gain skill. Those skills will help them to develop their communities, hence being confident. The other one is sustainability. The goal is to create lasting improvements. Okay, on sustainability, the goal is to create lasting improvements. This means finding ways to solve problems that will continue to work well for a long time instead of just quick fixes. So on this one, based on the skills that those people have learned in their communities, what they need to do is create improvements which are going to be permanent, not just doing zinto mwamadulia, but then making sure what they're doing is going to last a long time. And the last one is inclusiveness. Community development aims to include everyone, no matter their background. This ensures that all voices are heard and that the benefits are shared by all. On inclusiveness, it means each and every community member has the right to be included. This is on decision making, even the benefits, each and everyone has to benefit from the programs that are happening, regardless of their age, their backgrounds. This could be cultural backgrounds or any other backgrounds. Thank you.
That was well explained and detailed. Just to add up on the characteristics, another characteristic is community organization. So whenever you're doing community development, you have to make sure that people are organized in a community. In terms of community organization, the end product of community organization is group formation. So it's very easy to work with people in groups rather than individually. So group organization is also a characteristic of community development. Another characteristic is grassroots process, whereby on the term of grassroots process means that any development activity should be initiated by community members. All the plans should come from the community members. That's why it's called grassroots process. So when talking of grassroots process, think of this tree in the roots per se. Bili kunena kuti development should have roots. Should have roots. Then any development activity, it should start from the community members themselves. They should be the ones initiating the program, or the activities, or the projects. So in so doing, you're going to have development that is sustainable. So what do we mean when we talk of grassroots? People should be able to empower themselves. People should be able to aim at reducing poverty and suffering on their own. If we're going to have development with a grassroots process, we're going to achieve sustainability. On top of this, we don't have to forget warfare. Community members' well-being is also a characteristic. So we can say that in terms of well-being, we're looking at issues of health as well as education. Physically, are people okay that they can participate in developmental activities? These should also be considered when we're talking of development. Resource development. Resource development is also a characteristic. But what are we looking for in resource development? Development activity should be aim at improving, I can say increasing productivity or efficiency of our resources, as well as organizational development. So under organizational development, we're looking at maintenance and creation of social and economic structures whereby which members of the community may depend on. So organizational development should also be part of community development. In terms of organizational development, we are looking at issues of social economic structures. We also need to maintain as well as create these structures in our community. And last group was asked to discuss community development as a process.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm part of the team. I just want to explain briefly on why community development is a process. Community development is a process because it involves multiple stages from assessment to implementation and evaluation. It requires continuous engagement and participation from community members. It requires ongoing monitoring, evaluation, and learning. And it also aims to achieve long-term goals and sustainable outcomes. The last point is that it focuses on building capacity and empowering community members. That's all.
Pardon? Community development as a process. So our definition said that community development is a process. So why is it a process? So it is a process because we need community members to come together to take collective action, generate solutions to a common problem. But then, when you look at the issues of bringing community members together, it's not easy because these people are always occupied with other things. So that's why we're saying that it's a process, as well as when talking of generating solutions. The process of generating these solutions to a certain problem that is, it's also a process, so that there'll be conflicts, there'll be disagreements, so that we can reach a mutual agreement. We can say that it is a process that leads to change in many aspects. Think of social change, think of economic change, think of political change, as well as environmental change. So, for you to change a certain aspect of your community, think of changing a social. When you think of social, let's give an example of culture. You want to change a certain culture in a particular community. It's not easy. It will take you time. That's why it's a process. You want to change an economic aspect of a certain community. It's a process that requires patience and time. And we can say that it is a continuous process because continually you need to improve on other agents. For example, people themselves, they need to change, both psychological. Psychologically, you need to change the way these people think. So it's a process. It's something that you can achieve it in a day. It takes time to change people's mindset. It is a continuous improvement of things. For example, infrastructures. Abapati kumanga misewe. Come on, with time, misewe is basically they are out of fashion. We need new infrastructures. So you can see that development is a process. It is a continuous process of improving things. We can also say that it is a process whereby people are supposed to be involved. So when these people are involved, they need to share goals. We might have different goals. So if you're sharing different goals, it means you need to achieve each and every individual's goal. So for you to achieve each and every individual's goal, it takes time. Wina okuzaniza kuti inayalangiza ndifuna skulu izayang'ane side yawo or ndikufuna skulu yathu izakhale ndi upstairs. They'll give you reasons. So you need to compare these goals and come up with goals that they're going to be beneficial to each and every member of the community. So community development is a process. It takes time. So there's a lot that you can explain on community development as a process. Do you have questions?